I'm Nick Altmeyer with linkinglewiscounty.com, and we're here this morning with Lowville Village Mayor Donna Smith. She's going to give us a little bit of an update on the water situation and some of the solutions that the village is going to be putting into place. So, Donna, could you just update our audience a little bit on the current situation regarding the water levels, the tank levels? Are the levels still critical?
We are still in a mandatory conserve water. That is anything below 14 feet puts us in that zone. We this week started out about 12 and a half feet. I'm not sure exactly where we're at this moment, but we've been able to essentially almost maintain that around, I'm going to say 10, 11, 12 feet, which is much better than the 7 feet we were at last week. So we have made a little bit of progress and have filtered a little bit of extra water to be able to refill some of the reserves.
What measures do users of the water system need to enact? Or I know we've talked about it a little bit in some of the articles, but just to remind people some of the things you're looking for them to do until the situation's resolved.
Yeah, so essentially you can do very simple things to conserve water in your household, and every little bit adds up. Please don't wash your cars at home. Use the car wash. They have a specified amount of water that's being used. Make sure that your dishwasher is entirely full when you run it. Make sure your washing machine, you're washing full loads, or that the load setting is set to the appropriate level of laundry that you have in your washing machine. Don't leave the sink running while you're brushing your teeth or washing your hands. Not showering every single day, or taking very quick showers if you feel the need to shower every day. Even in our house, we've used paper plates for, every third or fifth meal, just because we're not running the dishwasher with that. So there are very simple things that people can do, and and it's going to be a gross one, but don't flush the toilets unless you have to. It's not pretty. I know that from experience, but I feel that if we all do our little part, and I know that many people are, and taking this seriously, every little bit adds up, and that's really all we're asking for. And if nothing else, you've learned a little bit on how to cut your water bill down a little bit, with not wasting a natural resource. So.
Great. And just to put it into perspective for people, what happens if the conservation efforts fall short and the tower is depleted? Just kind of stressing why you're asking people for the conserve and what the next step is if people don't conserve and what you're trying to avoid.
So ultimately, if all users use the maximum and we're not able to replenish at least the water that is made, I shouldn't say made, filtered and treated in a 24-hour period, the reservoir drops levels in the tank. Once that gets, obviously, if that reservoir runs out of water, we have no water for a significant period of time where the water is needed, which is kind of what has put us into this position. If the clear well is what we call the place where the treatment happens, and we have to be, the water has to be treated for 4 hours essentially before it enters the system. If that is pulled too fast and the treatment is not 4 hours, our levels that we test in our water every day, your water is tested in certain areas to see what levels of chlorine residual may be in there, so on and so forth. And if that is low, essentially everyone will be put on a boil water. So there are many dynamics to this system, as I've been very well educated over the last few weeks of how all of this really plays together. But it ultimately, we don't want to run out of water, and we want to maintain our chlorine residual, because if we aren't able to do that, the entire system, any users, whether they're in the village or outside of the village, will be on a boil water advisory.
Great, thanks for clearing that up. Last week at the village board meeting with the municipal board, the board decided to, they voted to bring in a portable water filtration system.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about what that is and how soon it can be online and just some of the dynamics behind that system and how that's going to help out?
So the portable water system essentially, I have not seen it with my own eyes, but from what I understand, essentially it's like a tractor trailer. It has a bunch of filters in it. Water comes in one side, excuse me, and goes out the other side. And it's filtered with any impurities. Then that water still would go through our entire system to be treated and put in the holding tank for treatment time. This system is something that is used in many locations, whether it's like gas drilling locations. I know they've been used in the Army since Vietnam, according to one of my board members. Sackett's Harbor uses this system as their treatment system. So you can have this as your system, or they are able to be rented, these portable units, to come in and supplement. This system is, I believe it's called a microfiltration system, is able to filter up to one of these units is able to filter up to 1 million gallons of water per day. It was delivered this morning. It is not been set up yet or leveled yet or anything like that, but it is on site at our water filtration plant. So I'm very relieved to have that actually here and in the works. We plan to use that system not for 1 million gallons of water per day, but to supplement our current system to allow us to filter the full 1.5 million gallons per day that we typically we're rated to filter through our plant without disturbing any of the spring water source or surface water source. This is something that we're permitted to do already, so that's what we plan to do. The other nice thing is that this unit will allow us to do a thorough cleaning of our sand filter beds. What we've been doing during this time is we've been doing a 24-hour clean on these beds, which does not allow things to settle quite as much. Usually we do a 72-hour clean. So the 24-hour clean gets us about 30 days of use out of that filter before it's really not producing a lot and we need to rotate again or clean it again. The 72-hour clean gives us a good 3 months. So there are a couple advantages to having this happen. Is one, we can actually clean our filter beds with a 72-hour clean, allow that to happen slower and let things settle a little more naturally than pulling it through and having it clog up the stand right away again. And also with this plant online, possibly some of the turbidity, which is the impurities in the surface water that come into our plant, will be filtered with this. And when we have our filters filtering as fast as they can, they're also more likely to clog faster. So this will allow everything to really just run very smoothly, and possibly if we get everything all up and cleaned and kind of caught up a little bit, our filter beds may, with a 72-hour clean, may go 4 months, because this is taking a little bit of that rush off. And so I'm very excited and very hopeful that this will get us back up to our 14-foot level and more in our reservoir, so that we don't have to deal with the conserved water at all.
When do you anticipate the portable system to be online?
We were hoping by the end of this week. I'm going to say probably middle of next week. We have a generator coming in for the time being, which should be here Monday or Tuesday, to help run the system. It needs to run for 24 hours, just like the rest of our plant. And so I'm thinking next Wednesday will hopefully be the magic day.
And then it would likely be a few days after that to get the system caught back up when we might see the conserve water orders and things like that being pulled back.
Right. So when we, let's say that our system is being, let's say that we as a system are using 1.2 million gallons of water per day. Our current filtration system has been able to filter 1.3 million gallons. So that's about 100 gallons. Sorry, 100,000 gallons per day. Every 150,000 gallons is another foot in our reservoir. So if we're able to filter 300 extra thousand gallons or even 200 extra thousand gallons per day, that would gain a foot every night, or a foot and a half or 2 feet every night, depending on what the system is being utilized for in that 24-hour period. So that hopefully, I'm very comfortable saying that within a week of this system being online, and it's kind of, I say kind of like a marriage. Everything looks great on paper, but until you actually put it into operation, there are some quirks to work out. But I'm hoping within a week we are back full and this conserved water is no longer an issue.
And the village has leased the system for a year, correct?
We have opted to rent this unit for a year, approximately $30,000 a month, which is 2/3 of what it costs to rent it for 1 month. We also feel that this will give us plenty of time to do some of the research that we've been wanting to do, which is checking out other sources of water to see what we can put through our system with the sources that we have available, and also really give us time to slow down and not jump into something to add on to our plant that we may not need or may not quite be the right choice. So
ultimately it buys you some time while you look for a viable long-term solution.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And while we're on the topic, could you just briefly explain how the water sewer projects are paid for? Kind of the difference
Yep.
between the three funds. You have the general fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund, and how they're not really interconnected.
Yeah, so we do have 3 funds within the village. There is the general fund, which is paid for with taxes. That takes care of street repairs, beautification, snow plowing, sand cleanup, things of that nature. We have the water fund, which takes care of anything to do with repairing water lines, water filtration, and staff to run those entities. Then we also have the sewer fund. The sewer fund is just for the sewer fund. That is the anything to do with sewer line replacement or repair, anything to do with our sewer treatment plant, that all comes out of the sewer fund. So when we are discussing different things and even different projects, we have that all broken down into general fund, water fund, sewer fund. So there are 3 different areas that comes out of. So there are certain things that affect the general fund. Most recently is benefits for employees. Since I've come in office, they've taken a huge hike. That is all recuperated with tax collection. With the water fund, we're looking at putting in this new filter. All of that money would come out of the water fund, so water rates would be the thing that's affected in that nature. Same thing with sewer upgrades. We recently had to clean out our beds, the lagoons. That comes out of the sewer fund, but we had put money into reserves through collection of sewer funds because we know certain things are going to need to be done. If we purchase a piece of equipment through the village that can be utilized on the road, in the sewer, and in the water aspects of the village, that piece of equipment is shared between the general fund, water fund, and sewer fund. So that it's very meticulous, and Pam Rose is our clerk treasurer, is amazing with this. Even benefits, or if the guys have a water main break, all of their time and their overtime and whatever is needed during that time is charged to the water fund. So it's a lot of bookkeeping, but we do a great job in our village of keeping those entities separate and knowing what is charged in which area. That every village has codes that they use, so that's really how we operate.
So basically, anything to do with the water system would come out of the water fund,
Water fund.
and would come out of the water rates that you're paying, and it's not going to affect the general fund,
Correct.
which is village taxes. Same
Correct.
could be said for the sewer fund.
Absolutely.
So I guess the follow-up question to that would be, do you anticipate with the projects that need to happen with the water and the sewer, do you anticipate the sewer rates or the water rates to go up any in the near future?
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest. We have not done that analysis yet.
Okay.
With the 5 Streets project, we've done a few. I'm not gonna say a few analyses, but we've looked at what we bring into the accounts, what's already in our reserves, how much per year would be paid out, how would that affect our users. We have not come up with any hard numbers because we don't have all of our grant funding settled yet to be able to put those numbers on paper and say, okay, each person is going to have to pay 4 more cents per 100 cubic feet of water. I don't know that answer. I'm going to anticipate that yes, there's going to be a slight increase, but I do not know that answer at this time. I wish I did, but that's more homework and more work to do. So.
Okay, well, we appreciate your time of stopping in this morning and updating our audience a little bit on some of the issues that are going on with the water right now. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add that we didn't cover?
I just want to say thank you to the community. This has obviously not been a joyous time in the village. It's been a little stressful, and the community has really been extremely supportive and not really complaining about a whole lot. There are times when you have bigger fish to fry, and this has been one of those times. So just thank everybody for their support of the village of Lowville. Even the outside entities who were willing to give us so many gallons of water per day that we could truck in if we needed to. There's a reason why people live in Lewis County, and if you don't live here, you should move here and find out.
Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time to stop in this morning. We hope you have a great holiday weekend.
Thanks, Nick. You too.